Hello, everybody. My name is Amul. You're watching the Smoking Hot Coffee Show, where we talk to startup founders, where we cover startups, monetization, marketing, and design. I'm joined with...
Hey, Amul. I'm Jeff Pelton, and I'm down here in San Diego.
All right, and today we've got Wade from Zapier.com. So tell us a little bit, Jeff, what exactly is Zapier?
So Zapier is a web service that helps you connect all of your other web services you use. So we're all used to making use of free web services like Gmail, calendars, what are all the other ones? Trello,
Dropbox.
Project management, photos, files, all these web services that are freemium, right? Everything from free to pay services that help solve all of these little niche problems. Okay. Well, the problem is that they don't all talk to each other very well. Okay. So what something like Zapier does is it connects all of these web services together so that when you want to export your Gmail contacts to your mailing list, you can do that. Or if you want to set up a trigger so that every time you get every time you receive an email with an attachment from your family, you can automatically put that in a special folder in your Dropbox.
Very cool. So basically automating some of these more manual, tedious tasks. Is that right?
Exactly.
Great. And so these guys
usually be manual, or sometimes don't have tools existing to do these most of the time.
And so these guys are a YC company, and Wade's going to talk to us a little bit about how the first time they applied they didn't get in, and what he did to get in the second time around. He gave us some really good tips on maybe getting a technical founder because he's a non-technical co-founder. He talked a little about how he converted some of the early, how he actually found the idea, how he solved the problem, how he got the earlier customers. This was a really great interview, and it's one that every startup founder should be looking at, especially because of the really powerful tips on getting started.
Yeah, a lot of tips and tricks about finding that product market fit, which really is the most important thing, I think, is finding something that people really need and find useful. And the money comes kind of after that. It's a lot easier to get them to break out their wallet if you're solving a problem for them.
Exactly. Wade, tell us, what does it take to make it in the real world?
A lot of hard work, right? There's no magic bullets.
No, come on, man. You were like one of the very few guys that get into YC. How did you pull that off, man?
So, the way we started, we were founded in October of 2011, and we applied to YC the first time. We didn't get in the first time, and we applied with just an idea. And looking back, it's very obvious why they turned us down the first time. There was nothing to it. We had it was just an idea. Nobody cares about just an idea. They care about execution.
Okay.
So after that, we worked nights, weekends. We still had day jobs at the time, so we self-funded through our salaries. Ended up putting 40 hours a week extra on top of our day jobs into Zapier.
Oh, I love it.
One by one, we went full-time as we started making more money. We bootstrapped. It was a paid product. We forced people to pay for a beta version.
Oh, I love it.
Nice. Paid product.
Yeah,
I love it.
And even when it wasn't very good, people would still pay.
Okay, so how do you get people to pay for something that isn't really good? How'd you pull that off?
Yeah, so I think it just boils down to solving a real problem that people have.
Okay.
And that they will, just having validation that they will pay. So we got the idea because we were working on SaaS products. We were working out of all these vendors' help forums, and one of the things you always see is people begging for integrations. That it's a pain point. And so we did some quick research on existing solutions, and it boils down to, one, you have to be a developer and know how to use the API, so that knocks out 99% of the audience.
Okay.
Two, you need to have 4 or 5 figures in cash for a custom solution.
Right.
That knocks off almost everybody else.
Okay.
Or you can beg and grovel at the mercy of the vendors to hopefully implement a native solution.
Okay.
And that's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Vendors are busy; they can't build an integration for everything.
Okay, so wait, did you have a product before you pivoted? What was it before?
Before, we were just working. We were freelancers. We had day jobs at a mortgage company.
Okay.
Nothing special. We weren't I wasn't at some other hip startup. I was in the middle of Missouri.
Right.
So there was nothing cool and awesome about me other than that like we just found this thing that it seemed like people wanted, and we just started working on it.
You guys found a clear need, a problem that people were having online.
Yeah.
Or that you were having in your own job.
Yeah, well, I was doing email marketing in a mid-sized mortgage company, and automation was like a big pain in my butt. Yeah. And so, like, we started, you know, like, and because I was hanging out in all these, like, forums trying to find a good solution for it, I was seeing, like, here's, like, every single product has this problem where they can't provide enough integrations for their customers.
Okay. Give us an example. Give us one specific example of a problem. Like,
sure. So you can go, so Highrise, the 37 Signals CRM, there was a forum that was asking for Google Contacts integration, and it was about 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old, and there was probably 200 or 300 comments on it where people were like, "Dear God, please help do this. Like, this would be like make my day," you know?
Right.
And so we threw up a landing page that like said, you know, Highrise Google Contacts integration coming soon or whatever, and collected email addresses. I just posted in the forum, "Hey, I'm working on a project that does something like this. You know, if you're interested, get in touch with me."
Okay.
And you know, we probably got like from that single link post, we probably got like 10 or 20 people to like give us their email addresses. Then I just like emailed all of them, got on the phone with as many of them, just like chatted about.
Oh, I love it! I love it! I love this.
Yeah, tell us about those phone conversations. How'd that go? I mean, you actually got on the horn with some of those.
I tried to. Some people won't do it, but the ones who really care, like, they will instantly get on the phone with you.
Awesome.
Or is that Skype? I mean, a lot of times it's really easy to get people over Skype if they're willing.
Yeah, I mean, whatever I could get them on, right? Some were on Skype. Some they just gave me their office phone number, and I just called them. And
that's great. That's cool. So you're like these are kind of warm calls. They're not total cold calls.
No,
either way, man, you're talking to people on the phone. This is scary for a lot of developers or geeky guys.
I mean, you know, it was one of those things where I wasn't trying to sell them anything at this point in time. I just wanted to know, like, okay, why do you even need a Google Contacts Highrise integration? Why is that even important for your business? Okay. I mean, I kind of had a concept of like, okay, it would be nice to have like all your contacts in one place. Like, I kind of had like a little bit of a gist of it.
Right.
But I really wanted to understand, like, why does their business require it? Why couldn't you just put them all in one place? Why do you have to need two? Like, there was just all these nuances that I just wanted to make sure I understood about like these customers that you don't really get from them just saying, you know, I saw your landing page and here's an email address.
Yeah, that's really great. So you were really calling them to have a conversation to further understand the problem, make sure that you had a full understanding of the problem and that they actually needed it. Because sometimes you put a price tag in front of your thing and then they're like, oh, actually I found out I could just do this other solution. You know, so you were testing it to make sure that it actually existed. There wasn't some other workaround.
Exactly. And once we had like a few use cases in place, like, so this was before we had a product, and once we honed in on like, hey, these are the first ones we're going to build, I started asking people, like, if I build this, would you pay for this? Like, just straight up asking
But
them.
Come on, man. Everybody gives you the horse shit, like, oh, yeah, I'll pay. But then, you know, when you build it, then these guys, they're nowhere to be found. Everybody's polite, man.
It's hard.
Everybody's polite.
So some people are like that, and those people won't pay you. But the actual first person we got to pay us was Andrew Warner at Mixergy. And I didn't know him before this, and I got him on the phone, and basically, I was emailing him, and I said, look, if you can pay me $100, I can have this ready for you tomorrow. And so he was like,
that's
all right.
Close. That is a close, man.
Yeah, he was like, all right, where do I send the money? Like, it was that important for his business because he knew that, like, for him it was Wufoo to Aweber was the thing he needed.
Wufoo to Aweber.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you.
Yeah, he knew if he could get email addresses, that those were worth X amount to him. He's, you know, Andrew's a business guy. He doesn't know how to, like...
All right, so for some of those in our audience that don't know what Aweber is, or Wufoo's like a form builder, like a GUI form builder, drag and drop, and Aweber is like an email autoresponder type of software, right? So he wanted to get the contact form emails into the autoresponder sequence. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So he just tossed up a Wufoo form on his site, and he was saying, you know, if you want to be on my newsletter, or if you want X, like I'll just dump you into Aweber.
Okay.
And he knew, like, if he could get people on his email list, he can send them stuff on his premium content and upsell them. So those email addresses were worth X amount to him, and like $100 was nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me, how'd you go from solving his problem there with that one use case to what you have now, which is kind of more open-ended? It can solve like a lot, like any use case, right?
So what we did was, before we had any products, we had our service directory, which was us basically guessing what are the most popular services that basically small businesses use, small, medium businesses use. So we knew, like, hey, people use MailChimp for email, people use, Highrise for, a CRM, they use Google products for, so we were just guessing, like, these are the things we use, so I think they're probably popular.
Okay.
And we toss up landing pages, and so now we'd start to rank in search for all these different, like, keyword terms. So if you were to Google, like, Wufoo and Highrise integration, or Wufoo Highrise, or Highrise Wufoo, or any combination of this stuff, we were ranking for it.
Were you buying these exact match domains, or were you just putting up, like, blog posts?
This was just organic, so we had landing pages for all this stuff.
Very cool.
We had personal sites around online, so we would just link into them just to get it, like, get Google to start thinking, like,
get a little bit of link juice going. All right, I got you. Yeah. Very cool, very cool.
Yeah, and so people would start visiting those pages.
Okay, so
giving
let
us
me
email
hold on. This
addresses.
is an important point. So you would have a Zapier.com /
it was like
Wufoo to yeah, exactly. So basically an article on that domain. Got you. And then you would link to it from your own personal sites to get an index and get a little bit of link juice going.
Exactly. And then we'd start ranking for it. People would visit. They would give us their email addresses. And then, after a certain amount of time, we'd know, like, hey, we've got X email addresses for this account, for these services, and, Y for these other services.
Gotcha.
Well, Y is more popular than X, so we're just going to build X as the integration.
Oh, I love it. I love this. I love this idea, man. So you're basically creating organic landing pages, these queries, and then based on the number of people that would fill out I would pay for this, or I'd sign up for this, that's the next feature you would build.
Exactly. That was the next integration we were working on.
That is awesome, man. How many of these landing pages did you put up, man? I mean, we're talking 20, 30, 5, 10?
So we had a ton. There was, like, probably, because there was one for every combination, right? So, if there was 2 services, there was only 1 landing pages. But if there's 3 services, there was 4 landing pages or whatever.
Wow, this is brilliant, man. And this is before the YC and next invite, or?
Yeah, that was before all that stuff.
Okay, all right.
So this was, it was actually one of the first things we built because it was really easy. Like, it's just a CMS.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a content management system. There's no.
What were you using? Were you using WordPress? What were you using for your?
It's just the Django admin. So we were just tossing content into it and saying, publish a page, and
gotcha.
It would take 2 seconds to really do this stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. So that really helped you. I mean, what were you looking at, like your development cost and time, and how that enabled you to?
Sure.
Like, what were the first you picked, like the top 1 and to 5, or how'd you pick?
Yeah, we just guessed, honestly. We were at a startup weekend is where we started, and that weekend we built like PayPal and Highrise and Twitter because those were cool and we could make a good demo out of it. After that, we were just, it was based on what would people instantly pay us for. So we were charging $100 as an invite initially. So we got like 20 people in at $100, and just like whatever they wanted was essentially what we added, right? So some guy was like, I need Zendesk, like I really need that, and I'll pay $100 for that. And so we built Zendesk.
This is awesome, man.
How much of a pain is that as a developer? Like adding a service, it can, you've got this massive list you're going to have to build out eventually, and there's sort of, it's always like, APIs are great because they're sort of a native machine language, but then there's always like updating them and staying up to speed. And
so early on, it was a little bit more of a pain than it is now because we didn't have all like the abstraction behind the scenes to like handle adding new APIs super easily. We always had a little bit of abstraction so that you could just plug an API in and it would just work with everything. But we were still building that part out, the abstraction part, like while we were adding the new services.
Gotcha.
So it could take a few days to add a new API. Now, granted, now it takes an hour at most to add a new API.
Oh,
so
is that right?
It's really efficient now.
Okay. Okay.
But back then it was a few days, which wasn't,
that's not too bad, I guess.
Day.
So it was just you and your partner who was building. Did you outsource it?
No, so my two co-founders, Brian and Mike, are both developers. At the time, Brian was doing most of the work on the back end stuff. This is still how it is today. Mike was working more on the front end side of things, and then I was working on the marketing side of stuff / adding APIs here and there where I could.
Gotcha.
Great.
This is very great.
It's cool to hear that you guys have built up a technology now that you almost didn't begin with, which is now aggregating all of these APIs. I mean, that alone is now a sort of like meta thing that is useful in its own right, I'm sure, to other enterprises.
For sure, yeah. I mean, people, the next step we built was once we had, last August, we built a developer platform where people can hook into Zapier without us doing the work. And that's,
very nice.
We've got, at the time we had 60 APIs, and now we're at almost 200. And almost all of the new ones have been from vendors who are just really excited about, the fact that they can plug into this ecosystem, and now they don't have to write native integrations for all these different services.
Very, very cool. So, all right. So, tell us: are you making money? Obviously, you're making. Are you profitable? Are you still burning? Are you funded? Are you still working at your mortgage company? Talk to us.
No. So we applied to YC in the spring of 2012. So this was about 6 months after we had started. So we've been working hard on 6 months. We got in, so this is like 7 months later.
Okay.
Got us a little bit of seed funding. YC comes with like $20K plus the start fund money.
Okay.
And at that point in time, we were making enough money that we could basically live ramen profitably. We're not anything like, my mom would be super proud of me, right? Like, we're scraping by here.
Right.
Especially since we moved to the Valley where the costs were like so much more expensive than Missouri.
Right. Yeah.
But we could get by. And throughout YC, we just kept growing that to where it was like, eventually, we had a bit of a profitability going. Now, we ended up raising more money because we wanted to hire just a little bit faster than we could, and build out more integrations, build out more things that were helpful for our customers. But that's what the investment was for, was to let us burn a little bit of money and grow a little bit faster than we could. Instead of being just a straight bootstrap company.
So, are you putting more of this new money into paying for more traffic? Are you just, this is all technical?
It's mostly hands on deck. So it's contractors, freelancers, adding to the team. It lets us add to a team. If we were going to hire somebody to do marketing, right? Like, if we had to be profitable, well, it would take us, maybe 2 months or 3 months to get to a point where we could hire a new person. But instead, we've got money, so I can hire that person today and not have to wait the 2 or 3 months till we build up enough more runway to hire that.
So you're not using this money for AdWords or display or
anything?
Yeah,
we don't spend any money on marketing, even to this day. It's all time. We spend money that way.
Okay.
So tell us, where are you guys looking to develop business? Like, who are your ideal customers and clients?
Sure.
Are they because I love tools like this online where I can see the use case for the end user, someone who just wants to move their contacts from one service to another, all the way up to the enterprise, people who can are really looking at connecting all the dots in their puzzle pieces that are missing.
So we're a huge fan of small business. I love guys who are running their own shop, or maybe they've got a few employees. Maybe they're up to even like 20 or so employees, but they're like making things run by picking up their own bootstraps. They're putting it together themselves. They're finding tools that let them get the job done without having to hire extra people. I'm a huge fan of that type of work. So they're using tools like MailChimp and Wufoo and Highrise and PayPal and all this stuff where you can just like spin something up today and you can start charging somebody something and making money.
Right.
But a lot of those guys, they're not technical. So those are the people that we're going after. It's guys that hey, I want to add PayPal customers to a MailChimp list, and I want to do it today. I don't want to wait for an Odesk guy that can add it for me.
Right.
So it's a lot of guys. The guys got the company card, and they're feel the pain themselves, so they just sign up, want to use it. And we have a free plan too, so it's accessible for people who are just getting started. Don't have a ton of time.
How are you getting new customers? Is it just word of mouth or word of mouse, or how is that happening right now?
So yeah, it's an interesting product. So there's a lot of word of mouth happening, just because it's well designed and people enjoy using it.
Okay.
But we also get a lot of traffic from the vendors themselves.
Gotcha.
So MailChimp linking to us, Wufoo links to us. All these companies are linking into us.
There you go. You're solving the problem for them, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Their customers are asking, "Hey, I would like an integration with X." Yeah. Before they say no or use the API, now they just say, "Go check out Zapier. It does this for you."
Oh, very cool.
That's great.
That's
so
awesome.
Those are the two big ways, and we also rank really well for all the search traffic too. So we get a lot of people coming in that way.
People that are looking for the keywords. I can imagine though, like your target, the small business guy that needs to move his email list from one place to the other. Sometimes he may not even know that tools like this exist or that can be done.
Yeah.
I really wonder what we can do for those, those small business individuals. Like you said, they're using all these free tools. It's just sometimes they don't know what else is out there available.
Yeah, I think that's the next challenge, right? So the first thing for any startup is basically gathering up existing demand, right? So I call this low-hanging fruit. These are the guys who already know that they have a problem. They're actively looking for a problem. For any startup getting started, that's the people you should target first, because you're not going to have to spend a bunch of money to reach out to them.
Right.
So we're at the point now where we're starting to try and generate our own demand, where people don't know about us, or don't know about the problem. So it's educating people on, hey, this is a problem, and here is the solution that you can use it. So I think a lot of that's just the long haul of marketing, right? It's getting content out there. It's getting in, other people's, getting content on other people's sites. It's just, constantly being there day in and day out.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, that's why we're glad to cover you. I mean, like I mentioned, you obviously started with the very specific problems of going from one service to another, but now you've evolved into this platform of that. And so I think your homepage, kind of does what you're saying. It tries to say, hey, here's all the things you can use us for, all the different use cases you wouldn't have even imagined. I mean, because, even let's remind ourselves, our audience are these startup founders and entrepreneurs. There are so many great tools online that you can use for free or freemium, so you can get started with, without any cost, really. So I think taking advantage of all these services is in everyone's best interest.
I 100%
smart
agree.
Business.
Yep.
So let me ask you this, Wade. Are you guys at a break-even point? Are you still burning through cash? How's that working out for you right now? How's that runway looking?
It's good. I mean, we're going to be around for as long as we want to be around, right?
Okay, we don't want to be eating ramen forever.
Well, we're not eating ramen anymore, thank goodness, right? So the way we run our business is, like I said, it's we have 6 people right now, and we just we get to a certain amount of we keep burn at a steady, constant pace, and then once we get it down low enough, we bring more people on board, and so it's that burn is always at this certain point, and then at some point in time, we're just going to be we've got a team that can rock and roll. We're just going to not have burn anymore. So, if we wanted to be in 3 months, we could be profitable, and not ramen profitable, really profitable.
Okay.
But, it's a purposeful burn, intentional.
So you're still part of YC. Tell us a little bit about what it's like being in there and getting into the second time around and all that.
Yeah, so we were in the summer 2012 batch. And YC is great for putting you in touch with other companies, which is really what we wanted out of them, was because a lot of the people we're integrating with are part of that community. They have access to companies that are part of that community. So that was the number one value we wanted, was hey, Dropbox went through YC, we want to integrate with Dropbox, we want to make that happen, right? So same with Wufoo, same with all these companies. It's it was a way to just get into this network without us having to constantly scratch and claw and try and get our way in. So that was the biggest thing that they provided us. And then of course there's all the other stuff that comes with them. There's the name brand, there's the advice from all the partners that are really great. They teach you how to do fundraising the right way, so they can put you in touch with a bunch of investors. It's kind of just the good housekeeping stamp of approval for startups.
All right, well, the first time you tried, you obviously didn't get in. What was the difference the second time around?
Yeah, so the first time, like I said, we just come out of Startup Weekend. We had an idea, no customers, a few lines of code. It really wasn't much. But after that, we'd worked for 6 months on it. We had almost 1,000 people who had paid us money to use our product. We had a bunch of YC companies who had found us and were using us. So we tapped into them to help us like write our application. So that it was good. And we just did a lot of stuff to make sure like that we looked a lot better on paper as a company, and we were a lot better on paper as a company because we had paying users. And
wait, hold on a second, Wade. You've got a lot. You threw out just a whole bunch of stuff there. If people are watching and they want to get into YC, what are the 1 or 2 things they got to nail to get in?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing is have some amount of traction is good.
Traction meaning paying customers or traffic?
No, it doesn't necessarily have to be that. I think it just means that demonstrate that you're solving a problem. It doesn't have to be a ton. Like it could just be like I have this 1 or 2 customers who have like this epic problem, and I've solved it for them. Right? It could be as small as that. It just needs to be like an inkling of an idea that demonstrates, hey, this is a problem. And it's not just a small problem. Like, I'm not just solving something for a small subset of people. Like, eventually this could be, like, a really big thing.
Gotcha.
So showing that, I think, is the best thing that you can do. And then it also helps to be, like, to have, like, a good resume and stuff, which we didn't really have because, we're working at a mortgage company in Missouri and stuff like that. But,
I love it.
If you've got operational experience at another startup or if you've built something really cool before, like, just stuff to show that you're a smart guy and you can get stuff done.
No, I love that whole 37, the high-rise thing and all the comments, and then you guys throw up the landing page, and I love that. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really smart. Going straight after a problem, and where you can point to saying, like, look, there's all these people asking for it, is really useful. I mean, as a developer myself, I used, when I was in an enterprise, we were using Atlassian, I think, and there was an epic forum thread about their lack of Git integration, and I would like get emails about it like every other day. People just being like, "This is still not there. This is still not what's going." Like, it was just a really, you can look at, you can go back and point to this forum thread and say, "What's going on here? This is a massive problem. Why is no one solving this?"
It just
exactly.
It just leads me to think that you should just be looking at these long forum threads as startup ideas. Go to these...
I mean, I think the bet, like, if I was going to start a company, that's how I would do it these days. I think I have, like, me personally, if I'm trying to just come up with ideas out of thin air, I have terrible ideas, I'm the kind of person who'd be like, yeah, Facebook for dogs, it's awesome. That's, like, a terrible idea, right? Instead, go, like, to places where people are, like, actively complaining online about stuff. And that happens in, like, forums and, Q&A sites and stuff like that. You'll find all sorts of goodies in there.
And listen, and to be honest, man, this is not a very sexy idea. Getting one software to talk to another is not very sexy.
Nah.
Importing and exporting data.
Importing and exporting,
yeah.
I mean, it's not. But, I mean, the truth is it's a big need. And obviously now that we're all working in the cloud, it's not like you're exporting, importing software in your desktop, so...
Oh yeah, I mean it's something every software has this, and it's just not very good. Like it's a crappy feature in every single piece of software. So doing it well is just everyone wants, like, that's good. They'll use it.
So let me ask you this way: can you just briefly show us the product and give us a couple of big popular use cases? That'd be really great if you can run through that.
Yeah, sure. So let's jump through. I'll just show you how you can set up a Zap real quick. Let me pull up my screen.
Sure.
All right, cool. So
awesome. There we go.
This is my dashboard, so you can see all the stuff I have running on like a regular basis. And all sorts of crap that it just helps me throughout the day, right? So I get IM'd when Zapier's mentioned on HN. I have this, like, I regularly update our investors, so like each month it creates a draft in Gmail that's like templatized, so I can just go through and sub out the new stuff.
Oh, I love it.
Saves me about 3 or 4 hours of work each month.
Whoa.
This thing texts whoever's getting ready to be on support duty next, because everyone at Zapier does support. And I found myself like showing up late and stuff just because I would get in the zone and forget about it. And so now I put in everyone's text message, and so when an event's getting ready to happen, it just texts everyone.
Nice. So that event goes to Twilio, which SMSs them.
Yeah, exactly. This one sends an email to everyone when you check in a new commit that says close to remind you, like, should you write an update post on our site about that feature. So it just reminds people to do content marketing.
Very cool.
there's all sorts of just little cool fun stuff. Call me if we're on TechCrunch. This one hardly ever happens, but when it does, it's super exciting. So once every once every 2 or 3 months, I might get a call out of the blue, which is cool.
Really nice.
So awesome stuff, and they're really easy to set this kind of thing up.
Okay.
So, something popular might be, let's save like Gmail attachments to Dropbox. Okay. So you say, hey, when I get a new attachment to Gmail, I want to drop it into Dropbox. So we'll just copy it into there. You have to connect your accounts.
Okay.
And it just kind of walks you through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, very simple interface.
I love that. I love you're not bombarding people with lots of stuff. That's really great, minimal.
Yeah, you can say like, hey, do I want it in the root directory? What directory do I want it in?
Okay. You still have filters and options.
Yeah, you can also do like more advanced filtering if you want to. So you can say like, hey, only if it's from Joe Schmo do I want to save his attachments. Everyone else, I could care less.
Very cool. Can you walk us through a couple of other little triggers?
Sure. So let's. Well, here's the coolest way to find good triggers is through Explore. So you can just come here and filter by the services that you use.
Yeah,
so,
this is great.
This is a giant list of stuff. So say you're, maybe you're an Evernote user or whatever. So you filter on Evernote, get a list of like all the awesome stuff you can do. So create events from Google Calendar, save emails to Evernote, save attachments to Dropbox, all sorts of stuff. 43 pages of awesome things you can do with Evernote.
What do you think about the landscape of all of these web services? I mean, I'm just really interested in how these tools are enhancing our lives. Evernote is such a powerful tool. Some of these are basic, like email, calendar, communications, like SMS. But have you, dealing with this, have you found like new APIs, new services coming on that have surprised you or you think we should know about?
Yeah, so there's all sorts of cool services.
A lot of project management, Trello is cool.
Yeah, Trello is awesome. Trello is bigger than you guys would probably even realize.
Really? So talk to us about that. Why do you say that?
Because everyone uses Trello. I just know that because I know what our user base uses.
From your service or your usage,
So
I think Jeff, I think we need to start using Trello. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we use Trello too. I love it. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
The coolest thing I think about what's happening in cloud and SaaS is that we are in a space now where you can be 1 or 2 guys and you can solve a problem for a subset of people and create the best solution for that subset of people.
Okay.
Like ahead of any other subset of people. So like you can compete with Salesforce and beat the heck out of Salesforce if you're making a CRM that is for car salesmen, right? You can just do it so good that Salesforce can't, the biggest CRM company can't even compete with you because your CRM is so good for that sort of person. So I think what we're going to see even more of is these really specialized services, these ones that solve a product so well for such a narrow niche that there'll be so many different web services to pick from as a new vendor, like as a new company. That you'll see people just picking the best in breed apps. Like if I want to run an event, I'm going to run it on Eventbrite now because that's the best thing to run events.
Okay.
And if I want to get my email somewhere else, like I'll just use Zapier or a tool like Zapier to push those emails to an email list instead of like hoping that my email marketing tool has like some patched on event functionality. That they kind of just a few users asked for it, so they were like, hey, let's just build this event tool. But it sucks, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think people will use the best in breed stuff and then find ways to connect it together and make it work with their own workflows instead of relying on.
I think what you're saying is so important for the evolution of the web. Like we're trying to get to APIs and services that connect to each other, and I think what you're saying is this allows people to like simplify the problem. Where I've always kind of had a difficulty as an engineer, like wanting to have everything connected and like as a whole. And so if I was doing the auto sales thing, I would want to have like Salesforce plus my auto thing. You know? But what you're saying is you can kind of just do just what the auto guy needs, and then you can connect to Salesforce for the rest of it. You know, or you can take advantage of Gmail or the other services that'll fill in those gaps. So you don't have to build like such a big product to get to market anymore.
Yeah, you can just build like the smallest bit of functionality that like is really valuable for a certain set of user and get traction.
Yeah, it's a whole different way of thinking for me almost. I'm like trying to start thinking that way more and more now.
Yeah.
Because finally these tools like you have are making that possible, whereas before, like you said, there's just like these services can't possibly import and export from every other service. It's just too hard.
And it's not necessary, you know. Your users don't care about that. They care about this other thing that's like the most important bit for them.
So Wade, in your opinion, like, give us some tips on, like, if we're a startup founder, we're not technical. What are the good ways of finding, reliable, fairly reasonably cost technical help? Like, what are the pitfalls? What are some hacks to get some guys?
So I lucked out in that I have two great co-founders, but I haven't always known Brian and Mike, and the way I got to know them really well, and this is just my story, was I met Brian playing music, and we were just friends from being just like we both like playing blues music and jazz music. So
that's cool.
And it turned out we were interested in startups and internet stuff as well. So it was just like a natural progression for us. That
was accidental, basically, what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I showed an interest in learning. Like, I'm not one of those guys that just wants a developer to do it all for me. So like I know how to do HTML. I know CSS. I took the time. Like, I asked Brian. I was like, Brian, can you teach me Python? Can you teach me Django? Can you help me learn this stuff?
Right.
I'm not awesome at it, but like I went far enough that he could tell that I was like a serious type of founder. Like, I wasn't someone just looking for like a code monkey, basically. I was wanting a partner in a business, not somebody who I could just pay $50 to like do some work and go away.
Right.
So I mean, that's the biggest thing I would do is just show that you understand what's happening on the technical side. Okay. And then really show that you can get it done on the marketing and sales side. Because that's where, as a non-technical founder,
right.
A lot of people default to saying that they're good at marketing and sales, but you're not actually good at marketing and sales. You have to be good at it.
Yeah.
Just because you're not technical doesn't make you good at being non-technical.
You know what? So that brings me to the second thing. So what are you seeing that's kind of a cool, cutting-edge, low-cost technique for startup founders to get traffic? What would you recommend? Organic, paid, any hacks, anything that interviewing people on Hangouts, trying to get them to tweet. What does it take, bro?
I think it depends on the type of company you're trying to build, right? Okay. So for us, we were trying to get SaaS users to use us. And so that's why when I started, I just started posting links inside all these forums. It goes back to like, here's where our target customers are hanging out.
Right.
And I want to get those people to come see me.
Okay.
And so I would just, I'd spend, an hour a day just posting links. And I would maybe post 10 links a day. It wasn't a ton.
Right.
But I would get, for every 10 visitors that visit our site, 5 people would give me their email addresses.
Okay. Conversions were so high.
Yeah, it's like I don't need thousands of people visiting my site every day if I can get 50% of them to say I want your stuff.
Yeah.
Or so like you said, to actually get on the phone with you and stuff. I mean, it's just they obviously needed what you were.
Exactly. So I think it's like not being scared to do things that might seem counterintuitive. Like, don't just jump in and say, like, oh, I need to buy a bunch of traffic, or I need to rank up really high for all these keywords. It's just like narrowing in on, like, these are my target customers. These are the people I think are going to be good users for the software I'm trying to build, or I'm solving this problem for them.
Right.
And go find them, and then, like, however you find them doesn't really matter. It could be, you could run Facebook ads if it makes sense, or LinkedIn ads, or you could, like, do guest posts on other people's site, like, if it makes sense.
Right.
But just get to them somehow.
Right.
Pick up, if it makes sense, pick up the phone book and like dial, Bill's Auto Shop if you're making an auto CRM, right?
Right. Yeah.
There's no silver bullets.
There's no silver bullet. All right, I was waiting for that silver bullet, but it sounds like just hard work.
Yeah,
that's smart and hard work. Yeah.
Yeah. And eventually, like, you'll find something that works, and then just double down like crazy on it.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Sounds like some good advice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, what's next for you guys? Building more integrations, trying to get more content partners. Like, what is it going to take for you guys to get to the next level?
So, I think for us, it's all about making sure people know that this is a problem and it can be solved in a really easy way. So, the product is pretty solid right now. We could probably, we're not going to do this, but we could probably stop building a lot of features and still get, a ton of people to use us. all over the world.
Okay.
Now, we'll still end up building features and making it better because the product can always be better.
Okay.
But if we wanted to, we could spend all our time, doing content marketing, doing ads, and just making sure everyone in the world knows that, hey, here is a product that can solve
so that's an important question. Why don't you stop with the features and start doing the growth hacking?
How do you make that decision?
It's different for every company. For us, we started seeing, we have the developer platform so that other vendors could get on board easily.
Good.
So that takes off the work for adding new APIs.
Right.
So then it came down to how can we make Zapier itself, the way that you connect the services, how can you do that so that it's as easy as possible so conversions are just really, really high?
Okay.
So it's a lot of just an iterative process for us now. It's how do you make the funnel bigger? And the funnel includes a lot of things. It's getting more traffic. It's converting that traffic into actual users, and it's converting those users into active users, and then converting those active users into paying users. So it's just how at every step of that funnel can we make it fatter and bigger?
So which part of that funnel? This is a great point you're bringing up. Which part of that funnel have you guys stumbled? What areas do you think that you guys have messed up? And you're like, you know what? We had this great slideshow, but nobody was actually playing with the thing. Or can you give us any?
Yeah, sure. So early on, if you've for those of our users who are in the first 1,000 users, that the UI was terrible. It was awful. Maybe if you signed up as a beta user and paid us, we would have to get on the phone and walk them through how to use the app. We would seriously have to show them step by step. It was this goofy thing where ID numbers were still showing up in the UI, and people are like, "What is that ID number? That doesn't mean anything to me." So that's how bad it really was.
Okay.
So
that's great, because Amul and I were talking about how this is technically an inherently technical product, but it's so useful.
Yeah. So what we did was we identified how can we make this simpler. We got in. We did a ton of user testing where we would just go to email my friends, email people in the tech community in Colombia, and then out here in San Francisco now, just be like, hey, I just want to watch you use this. Can you just do X for me and see what it looks like?
Gotcha.
And so we were just iterating over that as much as possible to make that really easy. So couple of cool things we did was we got to where at first it was less than 10% of people were able to create an active Zap.
Oh,
which is really bad, right?
Yeah, that's not that great. Yeah.
So, and now we're up over 50% are able to at least create an active Zap, which is a lot better for a freemium service.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we also got it to where it used to take over 60 seconds to create a Zap. If you knew what you're doing, I can do this as fast as I possibly could. It would take 60 seconds. Now it's down to 20 or 25.
Wow, so, these are great. So the time to complete and the number of people that are completing or percentage.
Yeah, so we just knew hey, if we can build a Zap this fast, if it's that fast for us to do it,
right.
Now we just got to teach people how to use it. It's not going to be frustrating to build a Zap. If you can build it in 20 seconds, as long as you know what you're doing.
Wow.
So just measuring that kind of stuff, and
yeah, it's great that you measure it. It's important.
Yeah, and I mean that's a hard thing to we're not awesome at measuring it, but we just try and pick on a few things that we thought were important.
You're mindful of it, yeah.
Yeah, we thought building a Zap quickly was an important thing. So because we thought if you build quickly, well, that means they understand what's going on.
So theoretically, if I got you straight here, so if you can cut your time down to build, or if you can increase the percentage of people that actually do build, what does it take for these people that are actually building them to actually start now coughing up some money and paying you guys? Do you find 1 out of 10 people pay? What is that?
I mean, for us, it's still pretty low. I mean, we're a freemium service, so it's 2-3% people end up being paid users.
Okay.
But it works out for us in the long term. And we're always working to try and get that number a little bit higher, because every little bit helps.
Have you thought about upselling these guys? The 98% that don't? Is there anything else you can sell these guys?
Yeah, one of the things we always try is sell them on more Zaps, right? So more cool stuff that you can do, because a lot of people come in with one idea. It's hey, I could, going back to the Gmail to Dropbox thing. It's hey, I can save my attachments to Dropbox. They set up the Zap, they're good to go, right?
Okay.
So it's teaching that person, hey, that's not the only thing that Zapier can do for you. There's like 100 other things that you could be using that's going to save you, you know, in aggregate, you're probably going to save like 10, 20 hours a week or a month. And like, if you value your time at any moderate clip at all, like, you know, even early stage founders, like I wouldn't do work that would, like, I could get somebody to do for $10 an hour, right? And if Zapier is saving you, you know, 20 hours a week, and you value your time like at an intern rate of $10 an hour, well, that's saving you $200 a month. Well, of course, I'll slap out $15 a month for a product like that.
So you're able to educate your existing users about even more ways they can use your product.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, that's just a great marketing story too. Your blog and, you know, your messaging to the users can constantly be like, oh, we added something else that connects to these services you already use.
Exactly. Just, you know, keeping, you know, top of mind. Making sure they understand there's cool stuff to do.
Have you guys considered doing like an autoresponder sequence, so when people sign up, they get like a 12 email sequence of how to that kind of thing?
Yeah. So we actually have one running right now that emails them on, like, you get a welcome email, you get one on day like 2, 5, 7, and 14 or something like that.
Is that working? Are you working on get those conversions higher? Like, what are you noticing there?
So. The biggest thing I noticed, so when we started doing it, it was the same sequence that went out to everyone. We didn't have any segmentation at all. It was just like, if you sign up, you get this sequence, right? And what we found out there was, like, some people liked it, but a lot of people, it just didn't fit them, right? They were like, I don't want these emails, or like, you're emailing about stuff I don't care about, or whatever, right? So we quickly started trying to, like, segment as best we could. You know, it's still not perfect. It's still not great, but we get a lot less people complaining about the emails, and a lot of people, like, at least interested in the content that we're sharing.
How are you segmenting?
Tell us.
Tell us how you segmenting.
Sure. So it's a lot of basic things right now, where we just say, like, hey, if you've created a Zap, or if you have, like, this much activity, I put you in an active user stream. So, like, I start giving you power user tips. I start showing you, like, more advanced things that you can do.
Very nice.
Stuff that I think would be relevant to them. If you aren't able to even get a Zap set up, then, like, there's no reason I should be sending you that stuff. I send them, like, really basic, like, here's how you use Zapier. Here's why you should even, like, start checking it out again, right?
Very nice.
If you weren't able to set it up in the first 3 days, like, maybe you don't even understand why you should be, like, checking out our tool. So just getting content in there that, like, hopefully can pull them back in.
Gotcha. So the beginning to advanced users, figuring out who they are, and sending them a different sequence. Awesome. Very, very cool.
Really helpful tips for all of our startups listening out there. I think you always bringing in context, it just makes it so much more effective. Like you're saying, I'm sure you get a lot less angry people. They're like, why am I, you know, just when there's mismatch of content, it doesn't fit.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, a lot of people, you know, if you hang out in the startup world, there's a lot of engineers. Engineers hate email. But
engineers hate email.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you segment, like, properly, there are a huge subset of people that really enjoy getting email.
And would love to learn about the product and would love to see more. But developers are inherently email phobic. They don't like getting spammed, and they don't want to spam anybody. But so I'm on your side of this camp, man. I have arguments with Jeff about this all the time.
So if you can get your welcome streams and your email streams to segment people the right way, you know, it's going to work out. You're going to send people the content that they want at the right time. It's not easy. It's you're going to make mistakes. But
so do you guys do that internally in the development end? Do you do that using Python just in your
so we built a tool called Django Drip. If you use Django on the back end, you should check it out. It's really great because you can go in and segment based on anything in your database. So, like, any user characteristic, you can say, like, you know, if they match this, this, and this, I want to send them this email at this time.
Great.
Oh, very nice.
So we built that, open sourced it. And that's what we use today. You know, it all triggers through whatever mail service you want to use. We use Mailgun, but you could use like SendGrid or Mandrill or something like that too, which are all awesome services.
This has been a very, 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 very eye-opening little interview. So listen, if people want to get a hold of you guys, what's a good general email they can get a hold of you guys?
So if you're just interested in, like, learning more about Zapier, need some help getting started, support, stuff like that, just email contact@Zapier. Everyone on Zapier does support. I could email you. I could respond. One of my other founders could respond. Like, you could get an engineer responding. Everyone does support at Zapier.
Nice.
If you want to chat startups, marketing, weird stuff like that, you can email me, Wade at Zapier, and I'm happy to chat. I like to help
And if you
people
want to
out,
meet
so.
you in person at a conference or an event,
Yeah.
what's a good event where we can possibly find you guys?
Man, I don't go to a ton of events, actually.
Okay.
But if you hit me up, I'm in the Valley, so just let me know when you're out here. There's tons of events out here.
You know, we were just at the AdTech conference out there in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of advertising technology and marketing, and in some ways, I think there's a lot of CRM type use cases for you guys.
Yeah, CRM is big for us because contacts are like, I mean, those are the people that pay you, or your contacts.
Exactly.
So doing cool things with them is helpful.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thanks for being on the show, Jeff. If you have any final words.
No, I think this is great. Thanks for all of the advice you've given us, Wade. I think our audience is really going to learn a lot from this.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. I enjoyed chatting.
All right, great.
Oh,
Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers.
Okay, we are...